I'm Andrew Bush. I'm the director of the Bethlehem Institute of Peace and Justice here at Bethlehem Bible College. And we welcome you to another segment of Global Peacemakers Speak. I am really pleased today to have with me Judge Charles Boteler, who was formerly a circuit court judge in the state of Kentucky in the United States. But he's doing an interesting project we want to talk about, and he's had a long engagement with the Palestinian community. Charles, welcome.
Nice to be here, Andrew. And
can you tell me just how you first became involved in visiting Bethlehem and Jerusalem? And
I'd be happy to. My first visit here was with the students of the Lutheran School of Theology in Chicago, and that was in January 2009. And since then, I've come back several times. This is actually my sixth visit in a variety of ways, and I've always visited both Palestine and Israel and have attempted to learn as much as I can about the issues here.
I appreciate that. And you are concerned with peace and justice here, and that has led you into an interesting project. Can you tell us a little bit about that project?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. In the course of my reading, my personal reading in the past 3 years or so, I ran across the fact that Abraham Lincoln, on the last day of his life, told his wife, Mary, that he hoped they could visit the Holy Land and Jerusalem after he completed his second term. So I thought, with my background in Israel and Palestine, that would be just a neat idea to bring Lincoln ideas to the Holy Land and to see if they would have any relevance in resolving the issues of Israel-Palestine. And as it has come to pass, the issues of Israeli democracy are very pertinent that we see occurring throughout Israel right now.
Mm-hmm. How are you doing your research? How is this going forward?
Okay. Well, I started this actually in the United States with visiting Lincoln sites. And so, of course, I live about 60 miles from where Lincoln was born. But I've been to southern Indiana where he lived, grew up, and to Springfield where he became an adult and practiced law and got married and had a family. And then I have visited sites in Washington, D.C. and Gettysburg to get a feel for Lincoln before I brought him here. And of course, throughout this time, I've been reading as much as I can, and there's an enormous amount of literature on Abraham Lincoln.
Yes, I know there are thousands of books.
Yeah, I think I saw one figure 18,000.
Oh, gosh.
And likewise, there's all kinds of material on the Middle East, Israel and Palestine. So it's been quite a chore, but then as I've come here, and the class was very helpful, and providing readings and speakers.
That's the class in the Bethlehem Institute of Peace and Justice.
Yes.
Right.
Just for instance, the Jonathan Kattab book on the two-state solution, or I don't recall the exact title, but that was helpful, and I plan to interview Jonathan.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I've interviewed a number of people here on the ground in Bethlehem and in Jerusalem, and made contacts with. I've had communication with the professors at the Islamic University in Nablus, and will continue to make communication and read as much as I can, because in the course of this, originally it was just, well, that's a novel idea, taking the Lincolns to the Holy Land, but the more I have studied and the more I have dealt with these issues, I think there could be a real impact.
Oh, that's tremendous. Do you think Lincoln would have hope for Israel and Palestine?
Well, I think he would, but he would. I mean, I don't think he would be overly pessimistic, but he would be realistic. And I think, as I was discussing with Professor Munir yesterday, Salim Munir, who taught in this college, two qualities that Lincoln would bring here would be the ability to get along with people who didn't like him, and the ability to maintain his morality in the course of when he could have opted out for an easier course. And there are a couple of good books by Doris Kearns Goodwin on those subjects. So
he was a real peacemaker.
He was. Now, there was an irony there because he started out his career in opposition to the Mexican War, and then as it happened, as it unfolded, he was the president over the most brutal war we've been in, and he had a hands-on, day-to-day role. But he was a peacemaker, and he certainly did not want that war, and it impacted him. As one historian has told me, it affected his faith, which, of course, as I bring Lincoln here, there are two aspects that I think of particular importance. One is democracy, as he expressed it at Gettysburg, government of the people, by the people, for the people, was the rationale for the horrible war that had been fought. Then the other idea of faith in the second inaugural, which those words that
was an incredible speech.
It was, and it may have, some even think it was better than Gettysburg.
Do you have some of those words?
I do, and I would love to share the second inaugural, which is so important because it shows us how to have faith that doesn't divide us. In the very last sentence, with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations. I have to put my glasses on to read.
Wow. So that was his vision, peace.
It was. And I think it's a universal value, not simply limited to the United States, although we still need it, definitely.
Yes.
But in this, one of the questions that's always perplexed me in coming here, can religion play a role in resolving the issues or not, or is it a hindrance? And I think this practice of religion that Lincoln offered here is one that we don't have to agree on many of the issues of our faith about end times, about salvation, about various parts of our dogma, but we can agree on treating one another with no malice and have charity for all, and learning to live together, because that's what the United States was facing in 1865.
Yes.
I find Lincoln's words could have much benefit if we can somehow translate them into action.
Yes. It seems in the United States that issues that were at the root of the Civil War still are going on. They have not completely been resolved. Tensions between the states and the federal government, etc. Even though generally, I mean, of course, the Union was saved and peace was won in a sense, but aspects of the conflict and resentment still seem to roll on.
And they are based on issues that are real here in Israel and Palestine, can can people who are in some ways different live together and share the land? That was the issue that we faced coming out of the Civil War, and those issues are alive and well here in Israel and Palestine today.
So I think perhaps we could learn from Lincoln in the Civil War that when peace is achieved, it's not a perfect peace. It takes just ongoing work.
Definitely, and there's a recent book by John Meacham on Lincoln that deals with many faith issues, but it makes the point, Lincoln was an imperfect person, but there's hope in that, because we can find, there is no perfection in life, but we can do better, and we can learn, and we can be pragmatic. And the process of healing and building a government and a society here is not going to be achieved overnight.
Yes.
It's going to require a lot of work, but we have to
Work
pursue
at it.
that. Yes.
Just a step at a time.
Yes. Yes.
A little bit more peace is better than no peace.
Exactly. And it has to be with justice, as you know as well as anyone.
Give us a timeline for the writing of your book.
Well,
That puts you on the spot.
Well, one thing about it is that as you go along, you keep discovering more leads.
Oh no!
And so I will have several Zoom interviews when I get back to the United States.
Okay.
But so I would hope that I can accomplish something in the next year. But even prior to that, I want to have some articles that for newspapers or journals and speaking engagements.
Excellent.
And one thing, when you do something like this, and this is just developed in the course of my research, it might be that we can bring some Lincoln books to Palestine, to Israel, and perhaps even have a conference on it, because Lincoln's leadership, maybe here at Bethlehem Bible College.
That's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, because we can learn from Lincoln, and the world can learn from Lincoln.
Oh, those are great ideas, and we'll definitely follow up on that.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Judge Boteler, for your time, and we're all behind you on this. I think it's just really a rich direction for research to further peace here in Israel and Palestine and in the world.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Andrew. I
Really
enjoyed
great.
it very much.
Really great to have this.
Have a great time.
And thank you for joining us to this segment of Global Peacemakers Speak.